Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that board.
It's okay.
And did you clear that board? I can probably clear it from here. I can clear it for you. If you want to turn back to page 1, just in case you use that. Clear it all. Okay, good. Okay, let me just check the time real quick. So our next break is 3:35. We're good. Okay. Okay, begin, please.
Hi, class.
Hi.
Hi, it's Miss Barlotta again. So,
Welcome.
yep. All right, so before we were talking about multiplication of fractions, and I gave you guys an I can statement that you would be able to do at the end of the lesson, and you guys were able to solve your problems with your fractions and do everything awesome. So now your new I can statement that you'll be able to say at the end of this lesson is I can divide using fractions and whole numbers. All right, are we ready? Yes, raise your hand if you're ready. I'm ready. CJ?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready. I love math.
Awesome. All right, so Maria, CJ, and Kevin, we're all paying attention, right?
Sure.
Okay. So, we're going to talk about the problem that we talked about last time, where we were talking about bubble gum. We had 24 pieces of bubble gum, and we were going to fairly share it among 4 friends. So what we did last time was we used groups to solve this problem. Can somebody just explain to me how they would solve this using groups, using grouping?
You could probably just like use different groups of gum to give to each one of the friends.
Okay, we can use different groups of gum. And so how many friends are we giving the gum to?
I think it's 4.
You think it's 4? Okay, yep. So we're using 4 friends. So let's draw our friends. Can everyone see the board?
Yeah.
Okay. So CJ, what should we do next if we have 4 friends and we're going to fairly share the gum with them?
Try to figure out how much each one is gonna get.
Right. And do you have an idea of how you can try to do that?
I would do it like when you're dealing cards, you know, when you're playing games and you're like, one for
Sure.
like 1 for you, 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 1 for you.
Right. So if I did that, how many do you think we would get? 1, 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So by fair sharing, and I dealt like you dealt cards, how many would each person get?
It looks like they got 3, 4, 5, 6.
6, right. And Kevin, can you explain what we just did here? Just in a couple words, summarize how we solved this problem.
We play cards, but we gum.
We played cards, but with gum. Okay, so what was our result from dealing the gum, like dealing cards? We found out what?
We're gonna give them like 6 per person.
Right. So if we hand out the gum to each person evenly over and over, we found out the total number that each person was going to get, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And Maria, if I wanted to check this work, what is another way that I could make sure that 24 divided by 4 is really the 6?
You can use a calculator.
Okay.
I mean, 24 divided by 4 is always gonna be 6.
It's always going to be 6. And why do we know that to be true?
Because math is like that. It only has one answer.
Because math only has one answer. But what if I wanted to double check using this equation? What else could I do? What other facts? This is
Using the
division.
same equation or using a different equation?
Using the same equation.
You could do x divided by 4 equals 6. Or you could do 24 divided by x equals 6.
Okay, so you were going to be...
What are you talking about x's and stuff?
Well, Maria is actually doing a similar thing to what we're doing here, but she put an x instead of... Did you put it instead of the 4?
Well, you said to use that equation. You can
Yeah.
put the x to replace the 4 or replace the 24.
So what Maria was doing was she put the X here to represent something that we didn't know if we didn't know how many groups we had and how many would be in each group, right? Because we were talking about fractions earlier class. We were talking about the bottom number, we were talking about the denominator being the number of groups that we have, and the top number, the numerator, being the number of groups that we were going to be looking at.
That looks more complicated, though. Those X's. I like what Kevin, what we were doing with
This is
kind of doing the cards.
This is a great strategy, what we did, like with dealing the cards, and Maria provided us with another way to double check our work. So we're definitely going to come back to that. So now that we are we all on the same page? Do we understand kind of what we're supposed to do with grouping to find the answer?
I think so.
Okay, just raise your hand if you feel like you have a good idea of what's going on.
What do we feel like we have it, but then we really don't?
We're going to do more practice.
Or what do we feel that we don't, but we actually do?
I don't know. I guess these are the questions we're going to find out because we're going to do more problems. And
Oh,
that way,
like so many questions.
yeah, there's a lot of questions. But that's math, right? We have a lot of questions and we can find a lot of answers.
Yeah, my dad would say, this is a philosophical dilemma.
Yeah, that's true. It pretty much is.
Do I
Okay.
know or do I not know?
So-
Do I think I know but I really don't? Or do I think I don't but I really do?
All right, Sean, but let's get back to the math so we don't get too distracted, right? Okay, so if we all have a good grasp on this so far, you don't have to be experts, and we don't have any questions, we're going to move on to another problem that we can practice with. Does that sound good to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Raise your hand if you're ready to move on.
Does that mean we leave soon? Then yeah.
No, it means we do another problem. So yeah, all right. So our next problem is Cassie has 5 1/4 yards of ribbon. So I'm gonna write it down so we can see. 5 1/4 yards of ribbon. She wants to make 3 bows. So I'm gonna say this is for 3 bows. So how much of the ribbon, the total amount of ribbon, are we going to use for each bow? Now, I just want you guys to take a moment, and I want you to talk to somebody near you, your desk neighbor, all right, and discuss what your first step would be. Okay? Raise your hand when you guys come up with an idea for your first step. All right, are we ready? Almost ready?
Yeah, we kind of just started only though. Like it's a little bit hard.
Yeah, of course. But we're just getting an idea, right? This is not our answers. They're just an idea of what the first step we're going to take is. So, CJ, did you work with Kevin?
Yeah, we were on page 4. I guess Sean and Ed were on page 3 or something.
All right. So you're on page 4, CJ and Kevin, and what you did was you drew 3 bows, right? And then what did you do after that?
Well, we started dividing like the big number.
Mm-hmm.
So each one of them got 1, but then we got left with 2 1/4, and we didn't know what to do.
Excellent.
We figured it out, I think.
You think you did? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look. You're on page 3.
It looks like Maria did too, because she wrote the answer. We got the same answer as Maria.
Oh, you did? All right. So let's look. Let's look at your work, and then we can double check it with Maria's work. So what did you guys do?
So we're on page 3.
Yep, I'm looking at it.
We
Explain
started
to me.
by doing the same thing that CJ did,
Mhm.
right? So we took 1, and we gave 1 to each one of the bows, which
Right.
left us with 2 1/4.
Mm-hmm.
But we needed to be able to see those 2 1/4, so we drew 1 and 2, and then 1/4, which is just a little square.
Right.
And we divided the squares into 4, so we could have the quarters, and then we just gave them to different people. So we put red for one of them, green for another one, and yellow for another one.
That's great. So you color coded so that you could distribute it to each bow. And you
Yeah,
got,
so each one got one whole number, but then they got the left, which was the leftover, which was 3 over 4. So 3 of the little boxes for each box of 4.
all right. Sounds really good. You guys, you went through your first step, your second step, your third step, you found your answer. And now let's ask Maria what her answer was and see if she can double check with our work or we can double check with her. Maria, what did you get?
Oh, I'm on page 5.
You're on page 5?
I got the same thing, but I didn't draw anything. I just put the answer.
And how did you get that answer?
I just did the math in my head.
Okay, but talk
I just
me through
knew
it.
what it was from looking at it.
From looking at it, so when you looked at it, what was the first thing you thought or you saw?
I just thought 5 and 1/4 divided by 3, and that was the answer. 1 3/4.
Because you took the 5 and 1/4, and then you did what in your head?
I divided 5 and 1/4 divided by 3. That's 1 3/4.
Okay. So
We got stuck. We went to
Yeah.
do the 2 thingies, and
Yeah.
then we got stuck there, and we couldn't finish. I can't believe everybody got the answer but us.
no, that's okay. See, I only asked for the first step. You guys still got the first step. That was perfect. So we're all using our friends' work. We're all working together. So that's what's great about being in class, right? So we can use you guys, CJ and Kevin. Your idea was very similar to Ed and Sean's, and I'm sure.
True. We just didn't know what to do, but that was
Right.
a good idea. I mean, because what I thought was that you can't really do it because she would have 2 and 1/4, and that's just nuts. You can't split that between 3.
But did Ed and Sean kind of show you that it might be possible to do that?
Yeah, I guess they did it. That was
Mhm.
wow. But
Yeah,
whatever.
It was good. So we're all gonna work together so that we can all get to the same answer. So branching off of both of your group's ideas, so we're gonna draw our 3 bows, right? And I'm not a really good artist, so these are not gonna look great, but so we have 3 bows. And then Kevin, what did you and CJ do first?
And well done. Got all that key vocabulary in there. Let's see. Grace, you're next.
Just trying to
That was just a beautiful classroom because they were all engaged and they were working together to support one another, which is exactly what we want.
Yeah, they gave me a good opportunity to actually say that. Well, that's why we're all here working together. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you had some really good questions, which I think is what kept them going in that direction and supporting one another. And you got it out of Maria, right? She explained what she was thinking.
Yeah, a little bit.